Hey, hello, how's it going? I'm here to make a video about how to meet strangers, how to make friends, and strike up a conversation, have basically a nice interaction with someone you've never seen before in your life. Um, so I actually started developing this skill because I travel a lot and I go to a new town a lot. I spent the past 7 years or 6 years of my life, I've lived in a new town each year. Almost every single year around Christmas time, I end up moving somewhere, and I gotta make friends all over again. So there's a couple of key principles or things to keep in mind that have helped me a lot. And I thought I would make a video. A lot of people are like really scared and shy when it comes to talking to strangers and meeting new people. So the first thing to keep in mind is that everyone, no matter who you are, no matter what race, gender, social status, looks, beauty, appearances, or any of that, everyone wants to connect. Everybody just is looking for that basic human need of connection, and everybody loves meeting new, interesting people. Now, having said that, not everybody wants to connect all the time. There's another key principle here is that there's a time and a place, right? So certain people are gonna want to connect with other people of the same type. Like, for example, if you're at a business meeting, that's not really a time to connect with people, or a religious event. Like, that's not really a time to connect with people unless you are in that business or part of that same religion and you're there like that. But I'm just addressing, I talked about how everybody wants to connect, but not always and all the time. So even people of, let's say, somebody really intimidating who can look like a suit and be really sharp, he might seem like he doesn't want to connect. Well, he does. He might not want to do so during work or if he's on the phone, but if you catch him in the right time, say waiting for the train or something, and body language is a big indicator of whether somebody wants to be approached. But it could be a quick interaction and not necessarily something so filled with fear and dread to approach somebody and just maybe ask them for directions or something. But I want to discuss more how to talk to strangers and actually have a good time with somebody that you just met. So there's another key principle, or no, not key principle. There's a way to expand on the one that I just said. There's a time and a place, right? So if you're in a new town, I recommend doing the things that you normally would do in your town and going out to, for example, a yoga class. People don't like to talk during yoga classes, but right before or right after, it's usually really easy to spark up a conversation with someone else who also is wearing like yoga tights and is holding a yoga mat. Like things like that can really help. Like if you are an athlete and you're in a new town, make it out to a basketball game or make it out to a volleyball game. That's one of the best. I love going to the beach, and if I'm ever at a new beach and I'm trying to feel, I'm feeling social and I'm trying to get some interactions going, I'll pick up a volleyball game, and that works almost every time. Like, people will, enjoy the new energy and the fun and interesting and curiosity of having a new person in the group, and they just want to usually want to get to know you. As long as you are, well, there's a couple other keys. You always want to be humble when you're meeting a new person, especially if they're in a group. Be humble but confident. Be, cheerful but calm. You don't want to be too enthusiastic to be meeting people. You don't want to be too shy either. So it's basically, a lot of it is the mindset of get yourself in that mindset where you're hanging out with friends. Get yourself in that mindset where you realize everybody wants to connect and it's just another person. It's no big deal. And getting yourself in a mindset where you're going to have the calm body language and tone of voice and all that, and being in that state is probably the most important factor. Just like how you feel about yourself and your ability to have a pleasant conversation with a stranger. Now, everybody loves meeting interesting people. That's another concept. So if you know that you have something interesting to say, that empowers you when you're approaching somebody. And you can always sort of, steer the conversation towards the direction of whatever is interesting to you. And if not, if you don't find yourself as being that interesting and you're in a new town, then, well, you can use the free time that you have from not socializing to read up on something that fascinates you, something that you find fascinating. And then having this fascinating knowledge and this enthusiasm for sharing it, approach a stranger in a social setting, and sort of like, steer the conversation. You can be like, hey, hey man, are you into cars by any chance? Did you know like Ferrari just created a car that broke the sound barrier? It goes faster than the speed of sound. And then, if they're not into cars, they'll be like, no, I didn't know that. Cool. And if they are into cars, bam, you got a leadway into a huge conversation. This person's going to get enthusiastic with you. If they're not into cars, you can just be like, oh, so you're not like a car guy, or you're not a car girl, or a car person. That's cool. So what are you into? What kind of hobbies do you have? And at that point, you can tell whether this person wants to connect or not. That person will give you the feedback and either start talking about something which is a pivotal point in the conversation. Once that person starts talking about it, then you get to show interest. If their person is talking about something that they find interesting, that's a hobby of theirs, of something about themselves, and you show interest, you're pretty much in it. You've already won. Like you're gonna be able to have a conversation with this person for a while, and they will probably introduce you to their friends and stuff, because people like receiving attention from new sources, from new people. If they don't really open up and start giving you something that they're interested about, then that's a really good indication that this person probably does not want to connect, or maybe there just isn't a connection here, and that's perfectly okay. That's just when you know that you can just mark this one as like, check this person as like someone that you've tried, and move on to the next person, and take whatever experience you've learned from that tiny interaction you have with that person who doesn't find Ferraris interesting, and you use that to the next conversation. So I'll make some other videos on this topic, especially if I get some good feedback on it. If this was helpful for you, please share it with a friend that you know might have some kind of shyness thing. And if it wasn't helpful, let me know. Tell me. Maybe I don't need to make videos about how to talk to strangers. But I plan on making a couple others, such as like listing places where it's a good place to try to meet people. Like I already listed some: the beach, the bar, parties, stuff like that, and hobbies that are very conducive to meeting people, such as drinking, which I don't recommend, but drinking is a super easy way. I don't promote it. I'm not against it. I'm just saying, sports. It's warm out here. Sports is another great conductive towards people meeting activity. Anyway, I love you guys. I hope you're having fun and enjoying your lives. Much love, much glow to you. Be well.